This is going to be my first video in a two-part series of how to handle order of operations when you are dealing with math. So, first of all, let's talk about what are the order of operations. And the best way I think to sum that up is to ask you to try and solve this problem. We have 5 plus 3 times 2. So go ahead, try to solve that in your head real quick. And if you go through it the way that you're used to going through math problems, you're probably going to tell me that the answer is 16. But it's not. The answer is actually 11. And the way we get that is through our order of operations. The order basically tells us when you have a math problem with two or more different types of operations, here we have addition and multiplication, it tells us what order we should do the problem in. And the reason for this is because when we work on a math problem, we want everyone to be able to come up with the same answer. And as I just proved, most of you might have come up with the answer 16, but the correct answer is actually 11. So, with that in mind, let's learn what the order of operations is. If you take a look to the left of the screen now, you'll see the letters P, E, M, D, A, S. PEMDAS is how I like to call them. Some people use a phrase such as, "Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally." But these are the 6 initials for the types of operations that you are going to be working with when you deal with order of operations. The P stands for parentheses. Let me write that in there. Parentheses. And parentheses are basically your typical types of parentheses. They can look like this. They can also look like this, which are brackets. And sometimes you might even see them looking like this, which are known as braces. But for the purpose of this video, we're just going to focus on our parentheses right now. But just know that if you see brackets or braces, they pretty much mean the same thing as well. So P stands for parentheses. Our next letter, E, stands for exponents. And if you haven't dealt with exponents before, exponents are those little tiny numbers, like this, that are up in the corner of a regular size number. They mean repeated multiplication. So with what I have right here is 5 to the second power, or 5 squared. Your answer would be found out by doing 5 times 5, which is 25. Now, I'm not going to go into a whole lot of exponents for this video, but that's how all exponents work. This is the base, or the number that's being multiplied, and this is how many of them you have, 2. So if this was a 3, we'd have 5 or 3 5s here, but we only have 2. So that's the second part. We have parentheses, we have exponents, and now we're getting into the operations that we're used to seeing on a regular basis. Multiplication and division, addition, and subtraction. And I've written them next to each other like this because they are of equal importance at their level. Multiplication and division are equally important. Addition and subtraction are equally important. And if we have a problem like this, or this, we would use this order of operations, multiplication or division. And you might think, well, multiplication comes first, which it does here, and it does in this letter, but it's really multiplication or division from left to right. So as you're reading through the problem, you do whichever comes first. Here, we see multiplication first, so we're going to multiply first thing, and then we're going to divide. With this one, as we read through the problem from left to right, we see division first, so we would divide and then multiply. And the same thing goes with addition or subtraction. You don't just do them in any order that you want. It's like you're reading a book. You start from the left side, you read your way through to the right side, and whichever happens first, you're going to take care of. So now that we've gone through our order of operations, parentheses, exponents, multiplication or division from left to right, addition or subtraction from left to right, let's take a look at some problems and see what operation we are going to take care of first. We're not going to solve them, we're just going to discover what part are we going to want to solve first if we were trying to solve the entire thing. So let's take a look. So in this problem we have 5 plus 9 plus 10 plus 16 divided by 4. Remember our order of operations is parentheses, exponents, multiplication or division from left to right, addition or subtraction from left to right. So as we look through our problem here, do we see any parentheses surrounding numbers? No, we don't, so we know that we're not going to use parentheses this time. Now, do we see any exponents? Do any of our numbers have a little number up in their corner? The answer once again is no. So we do not have any exponents. We can move on to our next order step, which is multiplication or division from left to right. So as we look through here, do we see any multiplication or division? And our answer is yes. We see 16 divided by 4. That's the first thing that we would have to do in this equation. So if we are just trying to figure out what happens first, I would just write 16 divided by 4. And then, in a later video, we would solve the entire thing. Let's try a new example. So let's take a look at this second example now. And as you look at it, you're probably noticing, hey, this looks a lot more complicated. We've got addition, we've got exponents, we've got parentheses, and we have division. A lot of stuff going on here, but if we follow our order, we have a basic roadmap on how to go about solving this. So, look for parentheses. Do we have any parentheses in our problem? And yes, we have parentheses around 10 plus 50 divided by 10. So we know that the parentheses are going to be solved first. But here's our first issue, because this is a little more complicated. We have addition and division inside the parentheses. How do we know which one to solve first? Thankfully, order of operations comes to the rescue again. Inside parentheses, all the other order of operations still apply. We just solve what's ever in those parentheses first. So when we're in the parentheses, do we have any exponents? No. No exponents inside our parentheses. There's one outside of it, but we're not working outside of the parentheses yet. We have to solve everything inside those parentheses. So if we don't have any exponents inside the parentheses, now we look for multiplication or division. So we do have division right here. I'm going to circle it just like last time. We have division right there. So if we were trying to solve this problem, the very first thing we would do is 50 divided by 10. That would be our absolute first step, and then we could go about taking care of the other operations. But all we're doing right now is trying to find the very first step. Let's do a couple more, and I'll actually have you do the next one and see if you can come up with what the first step we would try to solve is. So in this problem, we have 10 plus 12 divided by 6 plus 6 to the third power plus 2 to the third power. Go ahead, look at our order of operations over on the side here. What do you think are we going to solve first? Pause the video, look them over, and what do you come up with? What's going to be our first operation that we're going to take care of? Well, hopefully you said there's no parentheses, but we do have exponents. So we have 6 to the third power and we have 2 to the third power. The question is, though, which one are we going to solve first? And just like with multiplication or division or addition or subtraction, we go from left to right. From left to right. Well, I guess we don't need that other back arrow. Starting from the left side, going to the right. So if we go through this from left to right, what do we run into first? 6 to the third power. So our answer for this one, if we're trying to figure out what operation to do first, is 6 to the third power. After we take care of that one, then we would take care of our other exponent. But we got to go from left to right so that we do everything in the correct order. Alright, let's try one more example together. See if you can come up with the first step for this video. Here we have in parentheses 7 plus 90 divided by 9, end our parentheses, plus 56 divided by 7. I'm not going to give you the order on the side here this time. Use your memory, or hopefully maybe you've taken some notes. What is going to be the first thing that we are going to take care of? What's our very first operation? Pause the video, see what you come up with. Well, hopefully you've said, well, parentheses is first. So I've got this parentheses. But there's more than one operation, kind of like example 2. So we're going to have to do one of these two things first, addition or division. So which one's going to be first? If you think of your order of operations, you should be able to tell me that division comes before addition. So 90 divided by 9 would be the first step to solving this problem. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Order of operations, part 1, looking through math equations that have, well, these are expressions really, looking through math expressions that have more than one operation and trying to decide using the order of operations which one to solve first. In part 2, we're going to actually be solving problems like this to discover what their answer would be using the full order of operations. Hope to see you in that video, and good luck.